So I finally got my hands on this, the Gravat, the 550 US dollar direct drive trainer from Magene. People online in China are calling it the Kickr Killer, so let's see if it lives up to its name. You may remember in my last video about Magene's training software, OneLap, I said I'd try to get my hands on one of these to show you guys. Well, I got in touch with Magene and they arranged for me to get to one of their sponsored clubs and check out a Gravat trainer. They even said they'd get their hands on a Kickr for me to compare it to. That showed me they were confident in their trainer, and I promised you guys I'd check it out for you, so I went along to see if the trainer lived up to the internet hype it's been getting here in China. Now, before I go any further, I'm assuming 99% of the people watching this don't hang around on the Chinese internet, so don't know what the hype is about. Well, I'll tell you. This is an electromagnetic direct drive smart trainer with a 5 kilograms flywheel, ANT plus, Bluetooth. It's got up to 2,500 watts of resistance, and it claims to be near silent in operation. So it's pretty similarly spec'd to the Wahoo Kickr, except it costs less than half the price. Intrigued? I was, so on to our lab. Our lab for the day was the Dachin Tianqi Club in Xi'an. They seemed to like the big ride, some cards from Paris-Brest-Paris there. We had everything set up. We had the projector, the big screen TV, some laptops running different softwares. We had Wahoo Kickr, we had a Gravat trainer, a couple of bikes, another Gravat trainer, another Chinese non-smart trainer, non-direct drive, and yeah, we were ready to go, ready to do some science. Everyone knows you can't do science without a good splattering of pink. Pink, 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 pink with sparkles. So I spent around an hour getting familiar with the Gravat. I tested it with various software, including Zwift, Trainer Road, and Magene's own OneLap software, which I've got a video on that if you haven't seen it already. My bike has a left side power meter in the pedals. It's got a Garmin Vector 2S. I installed that with a torque wrench and I'd calibrated it so I knew that was accurate. And at first I was getting some inconsistency between the Gravat's internal power meter and my pedal-based power meter. I contacted their tech support, who replied instantly, and they told me to download the trainer's software from the website and do a 0-point calibration. I did that, and the numbers were a lot better. So if you look at this picture before the calibration, the numbers were massively off by 14%. The average power over this session, 14% difference in power. But then after the calibration, if we look at this one, the difference between my Garmin Vector 2S and the Gravat was just 0.6%. And as my Garmin is only left side only, that could easily be like left leg versus right leg discrepancy. But the trainer, the Gravat, claims a power accuracy of 3%, which is standard for these strain gauge based trainers. And if it finished with only 0.6% difference to my Garmin, I'd definitely say they're within the 3% accuracy. So then it was time to boot up the new Kickr, which is the second generation Kickr, released end of 2016, early 2017, and do some comparisons between the new Kickr and the Gravat. The Kickr isn't the best, it's not the most expensive trainer in Wahoo's lineup, but it's probably the favorite amongst most indoor trainers and Zwift racers. It's probably fair to say the original Kickr was massively responsible for the smart trainer revolution and virtual cycling, and it's definitely the benchmark when it comes to smart trainers. And this is the second generation, which is, according to Wahoo, quieter, more accurate, and generally all improved over their first generation Kickr. So the biggest difference between the Gravat and the Kickr, the new Kickr, is the price. The new Kickr retails for around $1,200, or maybe 900 British pounds. And the Magene Gravat, meanwhile, comes at just $560 or 420 British pounds. So, do you get less for your money? Well, let's compare the numbers. The Kickr's got a 5.5 kilogram flywheel, and the Gravat's flywheel is a 5.0 kilogram flywheel. And I feel like the Kickr is geared so that at a given speed of the chain, the flywheel is definitely spinning faster than the Gravat's flywheel spins. I was testing it out on Zwift, and I felt no difference in the road feel. You know, the idea of having these big flywheels is that it replicates the momentum of riding out on the road. And to be honest, I felt no difference between the Gravat's slightly slower spinning, slightly lighter flywheel than the Kickr's flywheel. I'm a lighter rider. I only weigh about 51, 52 kilos. So maybe I'm more used to having less momentum out on the road anyway. But I think it doesn't really make a difference. The Kickr's flywheel takes more effort to spin up than the Gravat's does. And the spinning up the Kickr's flywheel seems more difficult to me than spinning up the wheels of my bike when I'm out on the road. And of course, it doesn't matter because Zwift will record this extra effort and it'll accelerate your in-game avatar proportionally. So the only difference is the feel between a flywheel that spins up quicker or a flywheel that spins up slightly slower. And I guess that's going to come down to personal preference. However, what else is this flywheel speed and flywheel weight going to affect? So let's look at noise. At 30 kilometers an hour, the Gravat has a claimed noise of 55 decibels. But the Kickr claims to be the quietest direct drive trainer in the world, but it claims 61 decibels. And the difference is definitely audible. The new Kickr has a high-pitched squeak. It's a lot better than the first generation Kickr, but it's certainly louder than the Gravat. The sound's a lot more noticeable when you stop pedaling. A combination of the louder pulls in the flywheel and the in the freewheel, and the deceleration of the flywheel just makes the Kickr a lot louder. You can argue that this isn't really a point because you shouldn't be doing any coasting in a training session, but sometimes after a sprint to finish, I don't want to sprint for the finish line and then my whole house gets woken up because the Kickr's spinning like an angry mosquito. So I definitely say the noise is a point to the Gravat. The Gravat is definitely quieter. So let's have a quick listen to the two. On both these videos, my camera was just on auto sound settings. So in theory, the quieter trainer, it's going to make it louder to try to get an average noise level. But listening to this gives you an idea. Basically, with the Kickr, you can hear the chain noise and you can hear the flywheel spinning around. Whereas with the Gravat, you can just hear the chain noise. Both with the same chain, the same setup. But let's have a listen. Let's listen to the Kickr first. Okay, and let's listen to the Gravat. My next thing was to compare how the two trainers are for doing workouts. Both trainers support ERG and FEC, but the new generation of the Kickr actually has no strain gauge. I'm not 100% sure how they calculate their power, some combination of mathematics and witchcraft. But the result is that it updates itself quickly. It's not waiting for the result from the strain gauge every second. It's using algorithms or maths, and it knows the momentum, and it just updates a lot quicker. And usually it's not apparent if you're just riding around on Zwift, but if you turn on ERG mode, for anyone not familiar, ERG mode is when the trainer is going to try to keep you at a set power regardless of your cadence or your gear. So if you pedal slower, the trainer increases resistance, and if you pedal faster, it will lower the resistance so that you're always putting out the same amount of power, whatever your target power is for that interval. And so the Gravat comes with full support for ERG and FEC modes, and the Gravat does a good job at keeping you at target power. There are fluctuations in power output. If your target power is 150, it'll go up to 160 for a second, and then maybe down to 140 for a second. But it will respond, and then your average for the interval will be the 150. And so you can stop worrying about your watts and just put your head down and try to concentrate on getting through that interval. However, the ERG mode on the new Kickr is simply amazing. It holds you to a power very accurately. You can try to suddenly sprint, or you can just change gears mid-interval, but the trainer reacts super, super quickly and just keeps you hammered at that target power. If I'd never tried the new Kickr, I'd have thought that the Gravat's ERG mode was great. But having tried the Kickrs, I'd definitely give this point to the Wahoo new Kickr. So in conclusion, the Magene Gravat and the new Wahoo Kickr are pretty evenly matched. It comes down to what's more important for you. Do you want a quieter trainer, in which case go for the Gravat, or is the ERG mode the most important thing for you, in which case go for the Kickr? But that's a money no object situation. When you consider the Gravat is essentially half the price of the Kickr, that really, to me, makes it an obvious choice to go for the Gravat. And so after I headed to Xi'an and tried out these two trainers, I actually took out my wallet and bought a Gravat myself. So I've been spending some time with that these past few weeks, and I'll put a video up soon, just a full review of the Gravat. So subscribe to catch that video, and I'll catch you soon. Thanks for watching.